And that's it, off air, said one of the men seated behind the camera on the Barris show. Barris stood up, as did Raisha, as the crowd clapped and cheered. Barris stepped out in front and made his way down so he was standing directly in front of the crowd and put his arms out to silence them. Thank you to everyone that came to today's live show. I truly appreciate it. Barris bowed and the crowd clapped and cheered some more. In the back area of the studio behind the curtains stood a young girl with short black hair. She was dressed very formal, and on her head was a headset with a microphone that curved down toward her mouth. Good job today, Cindy, said a voice in the headset. You did great. Cindy smiled as she peeked out of a tiny slit in the curtains to see Barris greeting the crowd. It was a group effort for sure. I would not have been able to do this on my own. Cindy pressed a small button on her headset to mute herself. As she stepped away from the curtain, she saw the large man known as the Gargoyle exit one of the dressing rooms. As he did, he was met by Raisha. The gargoyle was a sight to behold in his own right, but this was the first time that Cindy was close to Raisha. The length of her beautiful orange hair reached down to the back of her thighs. The mask itself looked like it was made of a solid material when viewing it on TV, but in person it looked fluid and alive. Much more haunting and cold, as if it was in control of Raisha, not the other way around. The two Welton representatives began talking, but Cindy couldn't make out what they were saying. Once Barris joined them, she could hear everything. I hope I didn't lay it on too thick out there, said Barris, surprisingly loud. Raisha pushed the bangs of her orange hair back with her right hand. You were very convincing. So how was it? A voice startled. So how was it? A voice startled Cindy as she was trying intently to listen to the conversation. Cindy, are you all right? Cindy turned to face her boss, a tall woman with a brown ponytail and black-rimmed glasses. Mrs. Green, I'm so sorry. I've just never seen a person as big as the gargoyle before. Miss Green laughed for longer than Cindy felt was necessary. I forgot how wet behind the ears you are sometimes. You've done so well and learned so fast. When I see you fazed by things like this, it's quite hilarious. It won't happen again, Cindy said firmly as she fixed her posture. No, I don't want you to get the wrong idea. It's okay to feel this way, especially in the presence of members of the Welton Company. They're a big deal. Miss Green was holding a clipboard that she adjusted in her hands as she spoke. The gargoyle is essentially Raisha's bodyguard, and she comes to the studio quite often. You'll be seeing them a lot, and these jitters you're feeling now will fade eventually. Cindy looked in the direction of Raisha and the gargoyle and noticed that they were walking toward the exit of the building, and Barris was walking in Cindy's direction. He had a big smile on his face when his eyes locked with Cindy's. So, how was your first day without Mrs. Green holding your hand? It was fun, Cindy said as she returned the smile. She taught me so well. I wasn't nervous at all. Did great. It was a smooth show overall, in my opinion. Barris touched Miss Green on her shoulder as he turned his attention to her. Miss Green, a moment, if you don't mind. Not at all. Cindy, you did great. Go home and get some rest. I'll see you bright and early tomorrow. Miss Green tucked her clipboard under her arm and walked off with Barris. Cindy took a deep breath. She was proud, but the day wasn't without its stressful moments. She removed her headset and turned it in before grabbing her stuff and leaving the building. Since she started her internship at Barris's studio, she always tried her best to dress formal, put on makeup, and look presentable. Despite that, she was longing for her pajamas and a cup of tea. Unfortunately for her, it usually took an hour to get home. The studio where the Barris show was filmed was in Meldgarden, the same city where the Welton Company's main headquarters was located. Cindy was from Bristol, and it took her 2 separate trains to get home. Having never left Bristol before getting this job, she didn't mind it as much, as she got to take in the scenery of places she had never been to before. Row Station connected to the outside of Seva, or the lost city of Seva. I gotta put an accent on the A. I'm gonna leave myself a reminder, actually. Or the lost city of Seva, as it was now known. From Seva, she would transfer to another train that would take her to Emerald Station, which was near her home in Bristol. She boarded the train in Row Station and got a seat somewhere in the middle. She sat alone if she could help it, and she got lucky this time. The Barris show ended at rush hour, and she didn't always get this lucky. On the ride to Seva, she made sure to ignore her phone and other technology that she kept in her bag, and took the time to admire her surroundings. The streets and places that connected the cities on Novesta were all beautiful and advanced. Meldgarden, where she just left, was the most mechanically advanced and richest in magic. The Welton Company, being at its center, was responsible for that. Her home city, Bristol, was more known for its agricultural prowess, favoring fields and growing food over using metal and technology. Nova 1, the first city on the western half of Novesta, was a mix of everything because it had to be at the time. Cindy watched the places around her whiz by as she swayed back and forth with the movement of the train. She saw numerous men cleaning a wall that had been spray painted, and she watched as large birds flew over the next city, wondering if they were taking in their surroundings in the same way that she was. Black smoke rose from another city in the distance. It was hard to tell if it was a fire or just part of the city's industry. When the train from Rose Station stopped and let her off at Seva, she grabbed her belongings and made her way outside. Seva was surrounded by fences to keep people out and roped off. The ruins of a once prosperous city were still visible through the fence, and every day she got off the train, she could hear people working far in the distance. Seva was one of the largest cities, and the true cause of its demise was unknown. The mysterious end of Seva was mainly due to the years that had passed since it was destroyed, and the lack of survivors from the incident. The easy conclusion people would make was that there was an explosion at one of the factories that set off a series of more explosions that left the city on fire and eventually in ruins. Cindy was forced to walk by these fences and see the destruction every day. This day was different. Cindy groaned in pain as she crashed into a tall man who wasn't moving with the rest of the crowd that exited the train with her. "I'm so sorry, I didn't see you there." Walking into the man felt like she ran into a truck. The muscular physique she bounced off of rivaled that of the gargoyle. She played her statement to Miss Green about never seeing someone as big as the gargoyle before in her mind. The man didn't even flinch and look at her after she apologized. Instead, he looked through the fence as if the city was still on fire. "How?" he said. "How did this happen?" Cindy blinked a few times before staring at the ruins and then staring back at the man. "No one knows for sure. It happened a long time ago." "A long time ago?" The man finally acknowledged her presence and looked down at her with dark brown eyes. Cindy adjusted the bag on her shoulder before answering. "Yes, Seva was destroyed a while back, maybe 100 years or so, probably more. There were hardly any survivors, and the ones who did survive died a few days later without explaining what happened." She looked him in the face to try to get a read on him, but was falling short. "Most people know this already. Are you okay?" "I'm having trouble figuring out how I got here." The man reached into a pocket on his pants. The clothes he was wearing had designs all over them, reminiscent of an Indian tribe that Cindy once read about in a book about Earth. He had similar markings as tattoos on his body and his face. "Are those markings on your body and clothes part of your heritage?" Cindy asked. The way the man touched his own face gave away that he had no idea what she was referring to. "I don't know." "What's your name?" "I can't remember." After searching his pockets, the man revealed a wallet. Cindy snatched it out of his hands. I might change the wording on that because that just sounds extremely rude. Like she just took it out of his hands. I guess that could be part of her character too, but this might have some answers. She flipped the wallet open to reveal a driver's license. It just says Tor without a last name. That's strange. "I'm Tor?" the man asked as he pointed to himself. "Who are you?" "I'm Cindy," she replied, avoiding her own last name on purpose. She stuck out her hand and Tor just stared at it. "Really? Not even handshakes? Here, like this." She grabbed his hand that was gigantic in comparison to her own and stuck it out for a proper handshake. Then she shook his hand. "Don't squeeze too hard, okay, unless you're messing with a friend or don't like the person." She laughed, but Tor didn't get it. Cindy let go and Tor left his hand out for a moment before bringing it back to his side. "I see." "I need to get home. Are you going to be okay if I leave you?" Cindy pulled out her phone and began to text someone. After Tor didn't respond, she looked back up at him. He was still just looking at her with the same lost brown eyes. "You don't know what home is?" "I think I understand. I just don't know where." As he spoke, Cindy handed him back the wallet. "It should be somewhere on your license. Can you read?" Cindy looked over his hands as he held the wallet out. "Millwood Road." Cindy looked around for a moment. "That's not that far from here. I can get you there." "Thank you." Tor waited for Cindy to move first, then followed her. They traveled in silence for the entire walk to his home. It was in the middle of Millwood Road, and it was a small white house. "Well, whatever it is that you do, you must make decent money to be living in your own house," said Cindy. "Should be an ID key in your pocket somewhere." Tor found it, and Cindy showed him how to use it to get into his own house. "I don't know where to go from here." Cindy couldn't help but look at how Tor barely fit in the front doorway. "Well, I pass this way every day after work. I can help you figure things out if you'd like." "That would be really helpful," Tor smiled. Tor smiled. Cindy could tell he was starting to piece things together. Cindy returned the smile. "How did you get in front of Seva like that anyway?" "I can't remember." Tor put the ID key in his wallet away. Cindy didn't realize he walked the entire way to his house just holding out his wallet. "Everything before you bumped into me was black, then there I was." "Lots of mystery left to solve," Cindy nodded. "We'll figure it out."